Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into something crucial for improving your volleyball hitting. How to practice smart.
Exactly.
You're listening because you want to get better faster, so we're focusing on how consistent and, importantly, focused training really boosts power and technique.
Yeah, and we've pulled together insights from, USA Volleyball, the Canadian Elite Academy coaching guides, basically trying to figure out what makes practice sessions actually work.
Right. The mission today isn't just practice more. It's about understanding how to make that practice time genuinely effective for hitting. How to move past just going through the motions.
Okay, so where do we start? Consistency seems like the logical place.
Absolutely. Let's
Right.
talk about that foundation.
Yeah.
Consistent practice. Why is just showing up again and again so fundamental?
Well, consistency is it's really the bedrock, isn't it? You can't build anything solid without it. Repetition done regularly, it like physically builds the pathways in your brain and body for good technique.
Builds the muscle memory.
Exactly. And the conditioning for power, too. Hitting's complex. You need that constant reinforcement.
It reminds me of that learning to train phase in the Volleyball Canada LTAD model,
Yeah,
where you start coordinating skills even if they're a bit messy at first.
precisely. It's about starting that process, getting those reps in consistently, even if it's not perfect yet.
And that's not just for beginners, right? The materials suggest even elite players are constantly doing drills on fundamentals.
Oh, absolutely. Serving, passing, setting, hitting, blocking. The best players consistently reinforce those basics. The individual practice guides really emphasize that. It never stops being important.
That tiered structure at the Canadian Elite Academy seems to back this up too. Players work through basic skills in open sessions before tackling more advanced stuff.
Yeah, it implies you need that consistent foundation first. You have to put in the time on the basics before you layer on complexity. It's a structured buildup.
You need to internalize those movements through regular work.
Right. There was that analogy in the Sport Coaching Internet Kids book.
Oh yeah, the video game one.
Yeah. You have to beat level 1 consistently before you can handle level 5. Practice is like mastering those early hitting levels through sheer repetition.
That's a great visual. Makes those basics almost automatic, freeing you up mentally.
Exactly. But just showing up and repeating isn't the whole story, is it?
No, that's where it gets interesting. How do we make that consistent time truly effective? Let's talk about focused practice.
Right. Deliberate practice. This is where the real gains often happen.
Okay, so we're showing up regularly. Now, how do we level up those reps? What does focused or deliberate practice actually mean in this context?
It means you're not just hitting balls. You're hitting balls with a specific purpose, a clear intention for each repetition. You're actively concentrating on a particular part of the technique or a specific outcome.
So active mental engagement, not just physical repetition.
Precisely. It's the difference between, say, hitting 100 serves aimlessly versus hitting 50 serves trying to hit a specific zone, focusing on your toss or contact point. The second way is far more productive.
And you see this reflected later in the LTAD framework too, right? The training to train and training to compete phases. Practice gets much more specific, more game-like.
Absolutely. It becomes targeted preparation, like those advanced volleyball skills, focus, hitting sessions at the Canadian Academy. The name says it all. It's specialized, focused work for competitive players.
It moves from quantity towards quality, driven by that focus. The guides on structuring individual practice really hammer this home, identify specific things to work on.
Yes. Pick something. Is it your footwork, your arm swing, shot selection? Be specific.
And that ties into setting goals for each session, doesn't it? The guideline suggests clear, measurable goals.
Definitely. Having a target keeps you focused, keeps you motivated. If you know why you're doing a drill and what you're trying to achieve, you practice differently. You're more engaged.
It gives structure. And they also mentioned tracking progress.
Yeah, tracking reinforces the value of that focus. When you see measurable improvement because you are deliberately working on something specific, it clicks. It proves the focused effort is working.
Okay, so we need consistency and focus. How do these two work together specifically for improving hitting?
Well, think about it this way. Consistency builds the general movement pattern, the muscle memory for the whole approach and swing. It makes it feel more natural.
Right, it gets the basic flow down.
Then focused practice comes in to polish specific parts of that flow. So maybe you consistently practice your three-step approach until it's automatic. Then you have a focus session just on maximizing your jump height off that final step or on snapping your wrist faster through contact.
Ah, okay. So you isolate elements. You might spend 15 minutes just working on timing your approach to different sets, really concentrating on that connection.
Exactly. Or you focus specifically on reading the block, like the developing attacking skills section talks about. That's a huge focus area, learning when to hit hard, when to tip, when to roll shot, using different shots.
That's not just hitting, that's decision-making under pressure. Very focused.
Totally. And things like improving body control or hang time that requires focused awareness and practice, making micro adjustments in the air based on what you see.
So even drills that seem broader, like transition drills.
Right, like the
Hmm.
continuous serve receive or transition play drills,
Hmm.
they force you to apply hitting skills in a more chaotic game-like scenario. That's focused practice too, applying the skill under pressure.
And coaches making sure players get specific types of contacts in drills that reinforces the need for active, purposeful reps by the athlete.
Absolutely. It's about intentional touches, making each contact a learning opportunity.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, on the flip side, what makes practice ineffective? What should people avoid?
We definitely need to touch on that. You want that practice time to count.
So what are the main ways practice time gets wasted when trying to improve hitting?
I think the biggest one is what we mentioned earlier, just going through the motions, hitting ball after ball without any real thought, without a specific goal, without paying attention to your technique.
Autopilot mode.
Exactly. You might feel like you're working hard because you're sweating, but if your mind isn't engaged in improving something specific, the learning is minimal.
And the emphasis we saw on mental prep before practice ties into this, right?
Mm.
If you're not mentally present, you're not really practicing effectively.
Not really. You're just reinforcing existing habits, good or bad, without the focused intention needed to make positive changes.
There was also that point about over-specializing too early, mentioned the LTAD stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting caution. While focus is key, especially later on, going too narrow too soon might limit overall athletic development. You need a broad base first.
So build the general skills, then get more specific and focused.
That seems to be the recommended path. Okay, so let's try and crystallize this for everyone listening.
Right, let's boil it down. What are the key things you, the listener, should take away to really improve your hitting through practice?
I think the main thing is this relationship. Consistent practice builds your foundation, your basic technique, your muscle memory. But it's the focused, deliberate practice where you consciously target specific elements with clear goals that really drives the big improvements.
The next time you practice, don't just start hitting. Pause. Ask yourself, what specific thing am I working on today with my hitting?
Yes. Maybe it's keeping your elbow high. Maybe it's contacting the ball at the peak of your jump. Maybe it's hitting the line chart accurately. Pick something specific.
And maybe set a small, measurable goal for that session related to it.
Exactly. And then afterwards, take a moment to reflect. How did it go? Did you feel you made progress on that specific thing? What worked, what didn't? That self-assessment loop is crucial.
That reflection piece seems really important for making the next session even better.
It keeps the learning cycle going.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to chew on. How can you apply these ideas, consistency plus focused, deliberate effort, to other parts of your game? Your passing, your blocking footwork, your serving strategy.
Yeah, understanding how to practice effectively is a skill in itself, right? It applies across the board, not just to hitting. It can lift your whole game.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for diving deep with us today into making hitting practice truly count. We hope these insights help you unlock some new power and precision out there.
And definitely let us know what other parts of the game you'd like us to unpack in future deep dives. Until next time.